Hey guys, how you going? And welcome back to the In the Sheds podcast YouTube channel where we do all our Super Rugby tips, AFL tips, NRL tips, football tips. We do all our tips here, and plus all the clips come on the channel. So if you're not subscribed yet, go down there, hit that subscribe button, and also hit that thumbs up button to show us that you're enjoying this content. We do this weekly for all the different sports. But today, in this video, we're going to be talking about the Australian Super Rugby. We've already done our Etaroa tips that are already on the channel as well. But for the Australian Super Rugby, this is going to be another big weekend. We had a big weekend last weekend, but I'm looking forward to getting into some of these tips. I'm obviously here with Entertain House, Hayden, who is the co-host of the In the Sheds podcast, which should be up already. Well, actually, no, it definitely is up. Came out on Wednesday at 4 p.m. where we talk all things Super Rugby, AFL, and NRL. We go for about an hour and 10 minutes talking all things sport. But let's get into the tips for this weekend, mate. You confident?
Not confident at all, mate. No, God, no.
He's not confident. But we got the first game, Melbourne Rebels versus the Queensland Reds. Obviously, the Melbourne Rebels game had to be shifted from AAMI Stadium to Brookvale Oval in Sydney because of the whole Victorian mess right now. Who you going, mate? Melbourne Rebels and Reds. This is a really difficult one to take.
It's a really tough game, and it's a really difficult venue as well for both teams to play at, I think, Brookvale. I'm going to take the Reds here. I'm going to take the Reds in a close one. I'm going to take the Reds by 7. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, look, the Reds probably should win. I'm actually... Oh, that's the thing. I said to you beforehand that I didn't know what I was going to take. And I guess to make it interesting, I want to take the Rebels here. I'm a Reds fan in regards to the Australian Conference because I'm obviously from Queensland. But I think this game is actually a difficult one to predict. I think Reds will finish second this year. I do. I think the Reds will finish second. But I also think the Melbourne Rebels are improved this year. I do think the Melbourne Rebels are improved. I'm going to take the Rebels here. I'm going to take the Rebels. And this is only because I think the Rebels have what it takes to sneak something here. I think the Reds finish higher than them on this ladder. They play the Western Force next week. They're going to win that game. But I think the Rebels might sneak it here. This is a tough one to predict. Brookvale is not a rugby. You wouldn't really expect a rugby union game to be played at Brookie. But it has to happen, obviously, because obviously rugby league has taken over the other stadiums and all that type of stuff this weekend, and it would have been difficult. I'll take Rebels here, and I'm going to take them by 10 points. I think they'll get a decent enough victory here. I think the young Reds will get a notch taken off them. I think they were really rusty against the Waratahs, and I think they're still going to be rusty. But I think this will be a game they might struggle. So we're going another tip. That's 3 tips. That's 3 tips we've gone against each other in Super Rugby. But then we've got the Waratahs and Western Force game. And I'm going to take the Waratahs here. I'm going to take the Waratahs. I'm going to take them by 20 points. I think that it's difficult, but in the same sense, the Western Force are a National Rugby Championship team. They're a National Rugby Championship team, and it's difficult. It's difficult to see them competing with the big boys. I don't really know who's on that team. They could honestly have a team that was very similar to, but they would have been scalped. They would have been absolutely scalped from their previous team. They don't even have the team list right now on the Super Rugby app, but they probably would have been scalped. I don't know enough about them. I don't know enough about them this year, the Western Force. They obviously didn't play in round 1, and now they're playing in round 2. And the Waratahs, they did look improved against the Reds. They did look better against the Reds. They did lose, but they did look better than we previously imagined. So I'll go Waratahs and I'll go by 20. What do you reckon? Actually, you know what? I'm going to go by 30.
Okay, I'll go the Waratahs by about 15. I think I want to tip Western Force just because I really like their name. But I'm going to go with the Waratahs here.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple, really. And if they lose, that's the first tip out of all 4 Super Rugby games this weekend. That's the first tip we've gone together. But I think it's pretty basic, man. I think that's a pretty basic game. And if the Waratahs lose that game, then there really should be questions asked about that team, because the Western Force playing a conference that has the Fijian Drua, Sydney Rays, Queensland country, that's where the Western Force play. But because of this tournament, they've been brought up to this. So, I can't. And they don't even win that. They don't actually. They're a good team in that, but the Fijian Drua are the best team in the National Rugby Championship. So if you're getting beaten by lower grade teams, and I guess Australian Super Rugby isn't at a peak right now, so you still could see them lose, but you still could see them win against a team like the Waratahs, because the Waratahs aren't great. The safe option, really, and the obvious option, common sense option, really should be the Waratahs. But anyway, guys, that is going to do us for these tips. We do these every single week. So like I said, subscribe, go down there, hit that notification bell so you get a notification every single time we upload. And we'll see you on the podcast. And we'll see you for whenever we do our next tips or when the clips come out. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.